What's up, awesome humans in the globe? Did I just say in the globe? Are you kidding me? We're not in a globe. That would be very claustrophobic. Anyhow, welcome to the channel. I want to deep dive today into a concept that is popular in Neville's work, but I think is also very misunderstood. And there is, of course, techniques and tips that will come out of our conversation that you can actually practically use. Okay, but a lot of the question around understanding Neville's concept is, what is Sabbath? And then two, how do I know I'm in Sabbath? So again, for those that are new to Neville's work or just using this as a generic understanding of manifestation, the Sabbath idea, again, is a day of rest. It's a day of mental, psychological rest, okay? Because Neville, again, just to reiterate, he reads the Bible as a psychological document. So again, the 6 days has to do with how long it takes you to impress your mind or subconscious to believing that you are the person who has the thing, right? Because remember, it's all about becoming, not having, all right? So again, then the seventh day is, I'm done. I am it. I don't need to do anymore. I've impressed it. It's all gone. But how do you know? Because a lot of people now, what you're going to hear in sometimes in these communities, well, you'll just know. Or if you're checking, then you don't. Meaning you haven't impressed the subconscious, which both of those aren't very helpful responses and they're not very supportive. Okay. So I think we need to actually fully grasp what's going on here because remember, it's psychological. So let's talk about agriculture, farming, and cycles, and, calendars and zodiacs and all this kind of stuff. So in the ancient world, agriculture was about cycles. So for example, you did not just drop seeds into the ground 12 months out of the year. You took rest. You took breaks. Okay, so there is some archaeological or historical conjecture that the Sabbath was actually borrowed from the agricultural world because there are times of rest. There's cycles, right? And so Neville actually uses this idea of cycle in his own work when he talks about the pruning shears of revision. I'm not going to go too deep into that because I'm going to go deep into that in another video, so check that out. But the whole idea is that there's a cycle to this. That means there's a rhythm, okay? So that means when you figure this out and you figure out the rhythm, it's going to become effortless to you and you're going to know it. So that's first and foremost. How do you know? You continue until you don't need to worry about knowing. Okay. But then there's also another element here. Not only is it borrowed from agricultural cycles, right? But it's also better understood to understand that what's happening during this process of getting into Sabbath is what's referred to as cognitive dissonance, right? That's when you see something and then you see something else that disproves it, right? So when you're like, the world is a beautiful place, and then you go and see somebody steal something from like a local gas station, right? Or, my SP loves me, and then the SP does something in the opposite. So your brain goes into cognitive dissonance. It's like, wait a minute, I believed this, but what I'm believing isn't really matching up with what I'm seeing, okay? So that's ultimately what you have to realize is the process, the 6 days, the 6-day psychological process to get you there, which is where you're using affirmations, you're using states akin to sleep, you're using whatever techniques that you want to use to get you into the state of knowing that you are the person who has everything, then you are actively involved in that process during the psychological 6 days. Remember, not an actual literal 6 days, okay? Sometimes if you get really good at this, you can even manifest within 3 days pretty much almost every time, okay? So again, cognitive dissonance is very important to understand in relationship to Sabbath because what you're doing is you're using, like let's say, for example, if you're using affirmations, okay? I am wealthy. Well, right now, physically, if you just started today, you're going to have cognitive dissonance. You're going to be like, crap, I don't have the money. I don't have anything, and I don't see it coming from anybody or anywhere, right? So that's day one. Day two, day three, you're still in cognitive dissonance, okay? So what you have to do is get to the point where there is no cognitive dissonance, okay? So, and that depends, by the way, and another tip is do not call what you're manifesting big or small, because that will create a deeper chasm or gap in your cognitive dissonance, because you're like, whoa, that's big. That's huge. Oh, house? Oh, that's massive. Oh, $1 million? Oh, that's massive, right? But you feel relief from it. So feel relief. So every time, and here's your first tip, right? When you want to get into the Sabbath, you have to understand that there's a level of rest involved. And in the mind, part of rest, ironically, you wouldn't think this, is actually from dopamine, because you're actually getting rewarded. So then at the end of everything that you're saying and doing, every time that you're doing the mental work of getting into the state of having and becoming what you want, right? You have to involve dopamine routines, because then your brain goes, oh, I have it, right? Because that's why, for example, Neville says, hey, at the end of your imaginary scene, say thank you. Or I would even use this even at the end of your affirmation, say thank you. Because it gives you dopamine, because then your brain goes, oh, you have it. Oh, so you don't need to worry about it. Because again, right now, you not having it is perceived as a threat. Hence why there's so much cognitive dissonance, because you look at it as lack and loss, right? As if something that you don't have is going to feel like a threat because you don't have it, right? And remember what Neville says, loss doesn't exist. Only the belief in loss exists. It's very key, okay? So again, a lot of this is practice. A lot of this takes time. But again, back to cognitive dissonance. So you've got to get to the point where you are immersing and absorbing your mind in the wish fulfilled. So yes, if you're using affirmations, I have my SP, I have my house, I have my car. And people like Joseph Murphy, he would basically encourage people to do it 10 minutes a day, twice a day. So total 20 minutes, right? But you're actually couching it in the beginning of the day and the end of the day, right? And you're saturating your subconscious mind with these affirmations, okay? And then you're also doing the mental diet during the day, making sure that your inner speech matches up with the new self, okay? So again, Sabbath is rest from doing all of this. It's rest from cognitive dissonance. But to understand Sabbath, you had to understand cognitive dissonance. And then there's also attachment theory, right? So where we're like, okay, I feel like I'm not attached, okay, to this object or to this person or to this event or to this set of tickets for a Taylor Swift concert, whatever it is, right? And so that is also getting attached to the object, to the moment, to the person. But where does the attachment happen? In here. Okay. Once you actually fulfill that feeling of attachment, relief will be a natural knock-on effect. So again, these are ways in which you want to actually use these tools and strategies to measure whether you're in Sabbath or not. But again, keep in mind that the end goal is to eventually get to the point where you don't have to measure, where that all you feel is a sense of deep-seated relief and appreciation, okay? In fact, and here's another tip. I would encourage you to practice, whether you use scenes or not, or whether you use affirmations or not. Yes, initially this is going to feel weird. Again, cognitive dissonance is to try to sit in relief after you've done this. Because remember, relief is just like any other emotional experience. It's something that you practice again and again and again. And then check this out. When you're bored one day and you're not creating anything, just practice relief. Like, this feels good. Like, life just feels amazing. Again, you don't have to create anything, but you practice the emotion of relief. So then when you do go into scene creation, and when you do go into affirmations and vision boarding or whatever, feel relief afterwards. Every time, every single time. If you're doing 10 scenes in 1 hour sitting, 10 times you want to feel relief, right? And you're training yourself to do this. It's a muscle, ironically, right? So Sabbath is just like anything else. It is a muscle that you have to practice. Relief is something that you have to practice. Okay. People won't be saying that, and they'll actually disagree with this because like, no, it should just be natural, and you'll just feel it, and so on and so forth. But listen, if you're not let's say you're a person who overthinks, to you, relief is not going to be natural. So you have to actually train yourself to be natural. I know that sounds weird, but you have to train yourself to be in relief. So again, a really easy way to do that, by the way, is after a scene, not only just practice relief, but go give yourself some dopamine. Like, go hang out with friends or go give a high five to yourself in the mirror. Whatever it is, I'm not going to judge you, right? but go give yourself a candy bar, whatever it is, and you're training yourself to be like, oh, that was great, right? Or have a candy bar sitting right next to you after you wake up from the scene, right? So try these out. There's loads in here. Listen to this again. Share this with at least one person today. Hope this was helpful. And again, if you're looking for coaching or if you're looking to understand the Sabbath more and how to use it, get in touch. But much love, everybody. Thank you so much for your time.